following preview has been rated Good Bad by the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast. Please check out the full episode when it releases on Wednesday. Do you hear the English, Aussies, and Americans singing the songs of Frenchmen? It is the music of rebellion that will be sung and sung again. When the beating of the good echoes the beating of the bad, this is a life about to start when the weird comes. I'm Nico.
And I'm Chris. It's time to talk about Les Mis.
Your choice in musicals, which I am already going to say, we're not doing another one of your choices until I get another one.
That's fair. I did pick this one, however, to balance out Burst City.
Which you had doubts on.
I did. I still have doubts. And I've now seen it 3.5 times.
Yes.
Whereas with Les Mis, I've seen Les Mis quite a lot. I saw it when it first came out in theaters. And I am not a hardcore musical person, so I enjoyed it. However, all of my friends and family who were hardcore musical theater people had a lot to say when this came out.
Yeah, and I saw this probably about the time that I was getting out of theater and I had been out of theater by this point. Or no, around the time. So sometime around me falling out of theater and getting more into architecture school and actually working on other stuff. But as I brought up in the episode, Les Mis is the first musical I was involved in high school. Young freshman doing run crew, wearing white socks.
Looking so fly.
Oh, yeah. All black outfit, but white socks.
Yeah, it's gotta make sure people can recognize you from the audience.
Yes, but I do have a lot of issues with this adaptation of Les Mis.
Yes, I don't think there's ever been a perfect adaptation of Les Mis, and that's saying something because this has been adapted a lot. This is a very old story, and from the moment it came out, it was popular, and people were redoing it. And so I'm not surprised that it ever got a new modern movie version. However, what did surprise me was the faith behind this singing style that the director wanted to go with.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot that it has going for it. One, it's got a big budget. It's got some decent sets. It's got star power.
It does, and I mean, Anne Hathaway's performance in this is phenomenally good. Even if you don't watch the whole movie, just watching her section, worth it.
Yeah, it's also just Anne Hathaway too, so.
And it's Anne Hathaway doing her damnedest to break away from Princess Diaries.
Which she had already kind of done at that point. But...
She had, but boy, did this not separate her from oh, I'm slowly moving on to bigger and more adult roles. And then she did this, and it was oh, yeah, this is a full nother level.
You've got the chops.
And on top of that, it was not something that, much later they announced, oh, yeah, so many people lost a lot of weight, and she cut her hair on set, in front of the camera for this. No, they announced it before the movie was even, done. They got done filming, and they were already letting their big stars out to do interviews and stuff for this. So, people were excited for this.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's part of its failure is because it's so beloved, being the second longest running musical of all time.
Yeah.
Is that people have those expectations.
Yes.
And it's like when you go see a video game movie adaptation where they're trying so hard to please the fans, but also trying to do their own thing enough, but also trying to stick too hard to the source material.
And it just it falters in the middle.
Yeah.
This one definitely has that problem, but in a very grandiose sort of way.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think it's not helped that a lot of not a lot, but quite a bit of the singing is not on point.
No, and some of that is forgivable. There is some of the singing that, I do prefer the sing-song acting styling that was chosen for it. But it's not consistent throughout the movie.
No.
So it does make it hard to say that, yes, style-wise you can back it when the movie itself doesn't hold very hard to that.
No, exactly. And I don't know. There like I said, there are parts I like. I just think it didn't fully understand what it wanted to be. And I talk a lot about it towards the end of how musicals, in order to be good for movies, is they have to do something that going to a theatrical production won't do for you as an audience member.
And we've seen other variations of musical movies. Granted, we haven't really covered a ton of them here on the podcast, but even the big ones that come to mind will do something with the set. Like Sweeney Todd, we got a very good look at like gross, sad London, but like it was clear you could very easily see what was happening. We got a very wide range and set. In some movies they go out of their way to show character development via like clothing and haircut changes and makeup styling. And in some movies we get like more background plot that like maybe the source material reaches on, but the original musical didn't have time for, like whether or not you like it, like the new live action Sleeping Beauty. Like, yes, is it necessary? No. But it does try to explain itself. It does try to go on and add something to the world.
Yeah.
This one doesn't. This one tries to be faithful to the plot of the musical and also cram all of the music to the musical in there. But, like, the set is hard to read. The costuming is not fully fleshed out. There's only a handful of characters who really, like, quickly explain and show who they are, and some characters lose so much background that people who weren't familiar with the original source material legitimately didn't know the importance of the character and just thought they were a random orphan running around.
Yeah. No, exactly. It wanted to be Les Mis, but not at the same time. And I think that's a big issue with it is, and on top of that, everything, especially towards the halfway point-ish, everything moves so quickly, and we gloss over so many characters.
There's a lot of characters in this to begin with, let alone how many we try to shove in there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, again, could have had an intermission and could have been 30 minutes longer.
I agree. I think a lot of long movies would benefit from an intermission just because they are terribly long. But I think this is one of the instances where like having an actual intermission would have bridged that gap between movie and musical better than trying to cram all of the music into it. They only cut like 2 songs from this, and then a handful of the songs they like shortened down or reworked. But the original musical is already crazy long with very little actual dialogue. It's all done via acting and set design. Whereas this one, we lose a lot of that set design because we've chosen to go with a very muddy, sad, gray palette tone. So it's hard to see what's going on in half of this.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have a little bit more room to wiggle, a little bit more space to give, because there are parts that are well paced out and like the hints of character development and design are put there, but they're so quick and they're not given to our main set of 3 that we kind of lose it, and they just come across as goofy characters as opposed to like a style choice.
Exactly. So, but anyway, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird previews.
Check out the full episode.
Peace. Viva la revolution.